Hey guys, Luke at ultraconsumer.com here, bringing you another product review. This time, one that's a little overdue, the P90X home fitness system. Now, I completed P90X back in 2009, but I have so many people asking me about it and to do a review on it that I thought it was about time to use my new equipment and get you guys a review. So this review is going to be broken into three parts. The first part is going to be what you get with P90X, as well as the equipment that you'll need to complete it. The second part of the review will be a little bit more detail about the program itself, what I liked and didn't like, the general layout, etc. And then the third part will be how my results were and a comparison versus some other similar programs. So let's start with the first part, which is what do you get here in the box. Now let me start by saying that I got my copy of P90X on Amazon.com. And I actually got it from a third-party retailer back in 2009, and I wouldn't recommend doing this because there's actually a lot of fake copies of the P90X program. I paid about 79 bucks for this, but I have a strong suspicion that this may be a fake copy. Reason being because some of the materials weren't up to the standard that I thought they should be for the money, and some of my discs actually came a little bit scratched. So I thought, you know, I would recommend getting it from Beachbody directly or from Amazon, well, sold by Beachbody through Amazon. Okay, so let's take a look in the box here. And again, this has been opened quite a few times, but let's take a quick peek at what we've got here. The first one is the fitness guide, which is kind of all the charts and exercise explanations in one place here. So you've got how to do pretty much every exercise, and you've got all the tables where you write down your weights and your reps and so forth. So it's kind of just an overall explanation guide. Then you've got the nutrition plan. It's also a paperback, same size. And this is all of the food and so forth that you're going to be eating throughout the program. And then a couple other pieces of paper here, specifically the training calendar. I guess this is kind of like what program you're doing each day or what DVD you're playing each day. And then a quick start guide. So it's just 5 steps to get you started, kind of. And then the P90X program itself comes in this cardboard sleeve book here. My discs are actually not in here, and that's because I actually was concerned that my discs were getting scratched. This is a really, really low quality book, and that's why I moved all my discs over to, let me show you, the hamburger wallet. So I thought it's kind of a funny irony to have my workout program in a CD wallet shaped like a hamburger. So my P90X program actually ended up in my hamburger wallet as opposed to the horrible, horrible sleeve that came with the program. The one other thing is that the fitness guide has charts that you can fill out the number of reps you did for like your fit test and so forth. And I think this also may have come with your repetition worksheets. I can't remember exactly, but just a tip, you can actually get these worksheets online in like a PDF format or something and print them out so you don't have to write directly in your P90X materials. So I did some of the routines more than the 90 days called for, and I just printed out more sheets and kept them all written out on my own paper. Now I want to talk also about what you'll need for the program, which is primarily a set of dumbbells and a pull-up bar, or alternatively you can use a set of resistance bands to kind of replace your dumbbells and your pull-up bar if you have a door anchor for your resistance band. What I'll say is I wouldn't recommend the resistance bands at all unless you're traveling and you need the portability. I would certainly get dumbbells if you can swing it, and I would certainly get a pull-up bar if you could swing it as well. The resistance bands just don't do a good enough job replacing either dumbbells or a pull-up bar. There's push-up stands that are optional, and there's also a yoga block that's optional. I used both. I already had the perfect push-up stand, so I didn't have to go out and buy anything, and I decided to get the yoga block, which did two things. It helped me on some of the earlier yoga programs and stretch programs where I need a little bit of assistance, and then later on it actually gave me a better stretch when I used it in a different way. So I actually liked the yoga block. So those are the things you're going to need. Definitely going to want dumbbells, definitely going to want a pull-up bar. Okay, so now let's talk about the program itself. For those of you who aren't aware, this is a 90-day program which ends up being kind of 3 months. The first 2 months are 4 weeks apiece, and then the third month is 5 weeks. Sorry, my kitty is making noise back there. So the first month you do 3 weeks of the same routine, and then on the 4th week you do kind of a rest or cool down week, which is a little bit less weight resistance. And then on the 2nd month you do a different week 3 times in a row, followed by a 4th week, which is a cool down. And then in the 3rd month you do a different week 4 times in a row, followed by your last cool down week. So it's a 13-week program. I think it's actually 91 days. It's 7 days a week. The 7th day is technically optional. It's a stretch day where it's like an hour-long stretch routine, which is really easy and pretty relaxing. So I actually did this 7 days a week for 91 days straight. And each day you're going to be working out for about an hour. I think some routines are as short as about 50 minutes, and then the longest routine is about an hour and a half, which is Yoga X. Let's talk about Yoga X for a minute. Yoga X seems to be everybody's least favorite P90X routine. It's because it's long, it's slow, it is more difficult than you think yoga should be or would be, but it is very effective. It's just that it's one that nobody looks forward to doing because nobody wants to do a slow and boring routine for 90 minutes. The other thing I want to point out is that there's an ab ripper program, which is one of the 12 DVDs that comes with this, and that program or that routine is about 17 minutes long. And one thing I don't like is that you do that after another full routine, something like 3 times a week. So you would do like an hour-long chest and back routine, and then after that you had to do a separate ab routine for another 17 minutes. So I found that it didn't allow me to give 100% to my abs because I had already worked myself, to the max for an hour beforehand. So I think integration with the abs would have been a little bit better. And then the one other thing I want to point out about the routines themselves is that they talk about muscle confusion a lot in the infomercial and so forth, but one thing to keep in mind is that really from month to month you're actually changing very little. So like the first month you have chest and back, shoulders and arms, and legs and back for 3 weeks, and then the second month you have chest, shoulders and triceps, back and biceps, legs and back. So actually between month 1 and month 2 they're identical, except that you change 2 of your resistance routines slightly. So yeah, you don't plateau as much for those 2 upper body resistance routines, but what you'll find is the other 5 days a week you're doing the exact same routines, and they do get pretty tiring by the end of the 3rd month. 3rd month just was grinding for me. I felt like I had done all the routines about 1,000,000 times and I was just not looking forward to doing them anymore. The one other thing I wanted to talk about with the program in particular was the nutrition plan. And I used the nutrition plan as a rough guide for some ideas on how many calories I should be eating and how much protein I should be consuming and so forth. And also I used some of the recipes out of here, but I definitely did not follow this to a T. And the reason is because there's just no way that's sustainable for me. To actually shop for all the ingredients I would need and to follow this nutrition guide every meal of every day for 91 days would take longer than the actual workouts, I think, per day to cook and to buy groceries and so forth. So that would more than double the amount of time needed for this program. So what I did instead to be more sustainable for myself was I just tried to eat healthy, tried to eat a lot of protein. I kept up on my protein shakes as much as possible, and just tried to eat clean so that I didn't have to follow this exactly and I was still able to save time. Okay, finally I want to talk about my results. And I'll start by saying that I got absolutely great results doing P90X, and I think that anybody who dedicates themselves and puts in the time will also get great results with this program. After the 90 days, I was in the best shape of my life, both in terms of muscles and endurance. I just felt better and looked better. And I think I'll put up a couple pictures for you to see here. Like here's a picture of my back at day 0. And then here's a picture of my back at day 90. Just to give you kind of an idea of how much I progressed over those 90 days. So it is very effective if you stick to it. And if you're willing to have the motivation, I think it will be effective for pretty much anybody who tries it. I've also done Insanity, which is also by Beachbody, and I just finished the Supreme 90-day routine as well. Both are great programs in their own right. I would say the advantage to P90X is that it actually has you working out more every day, so you're going to get the most results out of the 3 programs, bar none, just simply because you're working out the most. One thing to keep in mind though is that actually in the fitness guide that comes with P90X, it says that you actually get 80% of the results by only doing one of the sets in each of these routines. So like for example, you might do 24 of an exercise in one of the routines and you would do 2 sets of that. Well, in the book it says you'd get 80% if you just did the 1 set, 80% of the results. So one of my recommendations would be, I'd love to have a program that only took half the time but gave me 80% of the results. That would hands down be exactly what I want, because spending an hour to an hour and a half per day is a little bit too much for me. So guys, P90X I can wholeheartedly recommend if you're willing to put in the time, hour and 15 minutes a day, every day for 90 days straight, have that discipline, and just stick with the program. You are going to see those results. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, leave them below and I'll try to answer them as soon as I see them. Thanks everybody for watching. Again, this has been Luke at ultraconsumer.com.